The sterile hospital room felt like a prison, its white walls closing in on me as I endured yet another round of chemo. I'm Melanie Carter, 36, journalist extraordinaire, or at least I used to be. Now, I'm just another terminal patient, watching my life slip away one drip at a time. Miss Carter, how are we feeling today? A cheery voice pierced my gloomy reverie. I looked up, ready to unleash my signature sarcasm, when I saw her, Dr. Evelyn Torres, the new intern. Her fiery red hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and her green eyes sparkled with an infectious enthusiasm that made my chest tighten in an unfamiliar way. "Oh, just peachy," I drawled. "Nothing like a cocktail of poison to start the day." To my surprise, Dr. Torres laughed. "Well, if we're mixing drinks, maybe we should add an umbrella to your IV bag. Make it festive." I couldn't help but crack a smile. "Careful, Doc. I might start expecting 5-star service." As she checked my vitals, we bantered back and forth. For the first time in months, I felt alive. When she left, the room seemed dimmer, as if she'd taken all the light with her. Later that week, I decided to go on a mission. The hospital had a therapy dog program, and damn it, I needed some furry comfort. I snuck out of my room, IV stand in tow, determined to find the elusive canine. As I wandered the grounds, I heard a commotion. An elderly patient was yelling at a nurse, demanding to see his dog. I approached, ready to intervene, when Dr. Torres appeared out of nowhere. "Mr. Johnson, remember? Buddy's waiting for you in the sunroom," she said soothingly, diffusing the situation with ease. As the old man shuffled away, Evelyn turned to me with a wry grin. "Fancy meeting you here, Miss Carter. Jailbreak?" I shrugged, trying to ignore the flutter in my stomach. "Just looking for some puppy love." "Well, allow me to be your guide," she said, offering her arm dramatically. "I know all the best spots for illicit canine encounters." We spent the next hour exploring the hospital grounds, swapping stories and laughing like old friends. I found myself studying her profile, the way her nose crinkled when she smiled, the confident set of her shoulders. It was distracting. As we rounded a corner, we nearly collided with a golden retriever and its handler. The dog immediately showered us with affection, its tail wagging furiously. "Mission accomplished," Evelyn said, her eyes twinkling. "Though I have to say, I'm a little jealous. I've never seen anyone light up like that for me." I felt a blush creep up my neck. "Oh, I don't know about that," I murmured, surprising myself with the flirtatious tone. Evelyn's eyebrows shot up, and for a moment I thought I saw a flicker of something in her eyes. But then she cleared her throat, professional mask sliding back into place. "Well, Miss Carter, I should get you back to your room before they send out a search party." As we walked back, a comfortable silence fell between us. I couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted, like tectonic plates beneath the surface of our budding friendship. It was terrifying and exhilarating all at once. Back in my room, Evelyn helped me settle into bed. As she adjusted my pillows, her hand brushed against my arm, sending a jolt of electricity through my body. Our eyes met, and for a heartbeat, the world stood still. I should go," Evelyn said softly, her voice slightly husky. "Get some rest, Melanie." As she left, I stared at the ceiling, my mind reeling. What the hell was happening to me? I was straight, wasn't I? And even if I wasn't, I was dying. There was no room for whatever this was. But as I drifted off to sleep, my dreams were filled with fiery red hair and laughing green eyes. For the first time since my diagnosis, I found myself looking forward to tomorrow. El Paso in summer is like living inside a hairdryer, but today the heat felt different. Maybe it was the way Evelyn's hand rested on my arm as she guided me out of the hospital, or the mischievous glint in her eye as she whispered, "Let's make a break for it." "You know I'm not actually your prisoner, right?" I quipped, but my heart raced at her touch. She laughed, a sound that made my insides do a little dance. "Maybe not, but I'm breaking you out anyway. Doctor's orders." We strolled through the city, Evelyn pointing out her favorite spots. The way she talked about El Paso, you'd think it was Paris. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and I found myself seeing the world through her eyes, brighter, full of possibility. Suddenly, the sky darkened. A fat raindrop splashed on my nose, followed by another, and another. Within seconds, we were caught in a summer downpour. "Shit!" Evelyn grabbed my hand, pulling me towards a nearby cafe. We burst through the door, laughing and dripping all over the floor. The cafe was small, intimate. The smell of coffee and cinnamon enveloped us as we slid into a cozy booth. Evelyn's red hair was darker when wet, clinging to her face in a way that made my fingers itch to brush it aside. "So," she said, leaning forward conspiratorially. "What's your story, Melanie Carter?" I snorted. "You've read my chart. Terminal illness, ticking clock, all that jazz." Her green eyes softened. "That's not a story. That's a diagnosis. Tell me who you are." Something in her gaze made me want to open up. So I did. I told her about my childhood dreams of changing the world through journalism. My first big scoop, the Pulitzer I'd been chasing before. Well, before. "You know," Evelyn said thoughtfully, "maybe you're still changing the world. Just in a different way now." I raised an eyebrow. "By slowly dying in a hospital bed?" She shook her head. "By showing people how to live, even when it's hard. By making cynical doctors remember why they got into medicine in the first place." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I looked away, blinking back sudden tears. When I met her eyes again, there was a vulnerability there that took my breath away. "What about you, Doc?" I asked, desperate to shift the focus. "What's your story?" Evelyn's smile turned wistful. "Oh, you know, small-town girl with big dreams, wanted to save lives, make a difference." She paused, then added softly, "Find someone to share it all with." There was a weight to those words, a hidden meaning I couldn't quite grasp. Our hands were close on the table, almost touching. The air between us felt charged, electric. "And have you?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Found someone?" Evelyn's eyes locked onto mine. "I'm still looking," she murmured. Time seemed to slow. I was acutely aware of everything, the rain pattering against the window, the warmth of her leg pressed against mine under the table, the way her tongue darted out to wet her lips. The moment was shattered by a clap of thunder. We both jumped, laughing nervously. "We should head back," Evelyn said, a hint of regret in her voice. As we walked, our hands brushed together. Once, twice. On the third time, I took a chance and laced my fingers through hers. Evelyn looked at me, surprised, but didn't pull away. Back at the hospital, we lingered outside my room. "Thank you," I said, "for everything." Evelyn smiled, but there was a sadness in her eyes. "Melanie, there's something I should tell you." My heart raced. Was she going to acknowledge whatever this thing between us was? But then her pager went off. "Damn," she muttered. "I have to go, but rain check?" I nodded, trying to hide my disappointment. As she walked away, I called out, "Hey, Evelyn?" She turned, eyebrow raised. "Next time, let's skip the actual rain, okay?" Her laughter echoed down the hallway, a promise of more to come. That night, I lay awake, replaying every moment. The way she looked at me, the feeling of her hand in mine. It was exhilarating and terrifying. I'd never felt this way about a woman before. Hell, I'd never felt this way about anyone before. But the cold reality of my situation crept in. I was dying. Whatever this was, it could only end in heartbreak. For both of us. As I drifted off to sleep, I made a decision. I had to push Evelyn away for her own good, no matter how much it hurt. But in my dreams, we were back in that cafe, and this time, when she leaned in close, I closed the distance between us. In my dreams, I was brave enough to kiss her, to tell her how she made me feel. In my dreams, we had all the time in the world. I never expected to find myself at a feminist rally while hooked up to a portable 4. But life's funny that way. My editor had caught wind of the event, and, in a misguided attempt at compassion, assigned me to cover it. "It'll be good for you," he'd said. "Get out of that damn hospital for a bit." Little did he know how out I'd already been. The crowd was a sea of pink pussy hats and handmade signs. I felt out of place, a bald interloper in a hospital gown. But then I saw her, Evelyn, her red hair ablaze in the afternoon sun, leading a chant with fire in her eyes. "My body, my choice." The words echoed through the square, and I felt a surge of something. Pride? Attraction? Both? I hung back, scribbling notes and trying to ignore the way my heart raced every time Evelyn's voice rose above the crowd. This was work, I reminded myself, nothing more. But then our eyes met across the sea of protesters. Evelyn's face lit up with recognition, then quickly fell. She looked, caught out, guilty, almost. Before I could react, she was swallowed up by the crowd. I spent the next hour trying to focus on the rally, but my mind kept drifting back to Evelyn. Why had she looked so uncomfortable? And why did I care so damn much? As the crowd began to disperse, I felt a hand on my arm. Evelyn stood there, looking uncharacteristically nervous. Melanie, I didn't expect to see you here. I raised an eyebrow. Likewise. Quite the firebrand, Dr. Torres. She blushed, and damn if it wasn't the most adorable thing I'd ever seen. It's complicated. Before I could press further, a commotion erupted nearby. A group of counter-protesters had arrived, led by a statuesque blonde who looked vaguely familiar. Well, the blonde sneered. If it isn't Evelyn Torres, champion of women's rights. Tell me, dear, does your little fan club know about your extracurricular activities? Evelyn paled. Sarah, don't. But Sarah was on a roll. Did you tell them how you infiltrated our organization? How you played me, used me, all for your precious cause? The words hit me like a sucker punch. Evelyn, a double agent? It seemed impossible. And yet, that's not how it was, Evelyn pleaded, her voice breaking. Sarah, please. Save it, Sarah spat. You're nothing but a liar and a traitor. Something snapped inside me. Maybe it was the journalist in me, hungry for truth. Maybe it was something else entirely. But suddenly, I was between them, my IV stand brandished like a weapon. Back off, I growled. Whatever happened between you two is ancient history. Evelyn's here now, fighting for what's right. That's what matters. Sarah looked me up and down, contempt dripping from every pore. And who the hell are you? I straightened up, summoning every ounce of my pre-cancer badassery. I'm Melanie fucking Carter, and I'm writing a story about this rally. So unless you want to be the villain in tomorrow's headline, I suggest you walk away. For a moment, I thought she might hit me, but then she sneered and turned on her heel, her minions trailing behind her. As the adrenaline faded, I felt my knees go weak. Evelyn caught me before I could fall, her arms strong around my waist. Are you okay? She asked, her voice thick with concern. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. We made our way back to the hospital in silence, the weight of unspoken words hanging heavy between us. In my room, Evelyn helped me into bed, her touch gentle but hesitant. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. I owe you an explanation. I held up a hand. You don't owe me anything. I do, she insisted. Melanie, I've never told anyone this, but... She took a deep breath. I used to be part of an anti-feminist group. I thought they were about empowering women, but it was all toxic masculinity in disguise. When I realized the truth, I couldn't just walk away. I had to do something. The pieces started to fall into place. So you became a double agent. Evelyn nodded, her eyes shining with unshed tears. I fed information to feminist organizations, helped expose the group's true agenda. Sarah was collateral damage. I reached out, taking her hand in mine. You did the right thing. She squeezed my hand, a sad smile playing at her lips. Did I? Sometimes I'm not so sure. We sat in silence for a moment, the air thick with emotion. Then, without warning, Evelyn leaned in and wrapped her arms around me. I stiffened at first, then melted into her embrace. Thank you, she murmured against my neck. For defending me, for everything. I pulled back slightly, our faces inches apart. The urge to kiss her was overwhelming, but then reality came crashing back. I was dying. She was my doctor. This could only end in heartbreak. Evelyn, I said softly, we can't. I know, she interrupted, her voice barely a whisper. I know. She stood up abruptly, smoothing out her scrubs. I should go. Get some rest, okay? As she reached the door, I called out, Hey, Evelyn? She turned, her eyes meeting mine. For what it's worth, I think you're pretty damn heroic. A smile bloomed across her face, bright as the sun after a storm. And as she left, I realized with startling clarity that I was in deep, deep trouble. Because despite every rational thought in my head, I was falling hard for Evelyn Torres. And there wasn't a damn thing I could do about it. The hospital at night is a different world. Shadows lurk in corners, and the hum of machines becomes a lullaby for the sleepless. I was one of those insomniacs, staring at the ceiling and wondering how the hell I'd gotten here. Not just the cancer part, that was old news. No, I was wondering how I'd managed to fall for my doctor. A female doctor. Talk about a plot twist. A soft knock interrupted my existential crisis. Evelyn poked her head in, her red hair a mess and dark circles under her eyes. "Hey," she whispered. "You awake?" "No, I always stare at the ceiling with my eyes open when I sleep," I quipped. "It's a new therapy, very cutting edge." She rolled her eyes, but I caught the smile she tried to hide. "Smartass, scoot over." Before I could process what was happening, Evelyn was sitting on my bed, her thigh pressed against mine. The contact sent a jolt through my body that had nothing to do with my illness. "Rough night?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She sighed, running a hand through her hair. "You could say that. I can't stop thinking about everything." Everything hung in the air between us, heavy with unspoken meaning. "Evelyn," I started, but she cut me off. "No, let me. I need to say this." She took a deep breath. "I've been running from my past for so long, trying to make up for mistakes, prove myself. But today, when you stood up for me, I realized something." Her eyes met mine, and the intensity in them took my breath away. "I'm tired of running, Melanie. I'm tired of being afraid." My heart was pounding so hard I was sure she could hear it. "Afraid of what?" "This," she whispered. And then she was kissing me. Her lips were soft, hesitant at first, then growing bolder as I responded. My hands found their way into her hair, pulling her closer. It was everything I'd imagined and nothing like I'd expected. It was perfect. When we finally broke apart, both breathless, reality came crashing back. "Shit," I muttered. Shit. Evelyn's face fell. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have." "No." I grabbed her hand before she could pull away. "No, it's not that. It's just, Evelyn, I'm dying." The words hung in the air, stark and ugly. "I know," she said softly. "No, you don't understand. I'm dying. Whatever this is between us, it can only end one way. And it's not fair to you." Evelyn cupped my face in her hands, forcing me to meet her gaze. "Life isn't fair, Melanie. If it was, you wouldn't be sick. But we don't get to choose our circumstances. We only get to choose how we face them." I tried to look away, but she wouldn't let me. "I know you're scared, I am too. But I'd rather have a short time with you than a lifetime of wondering what if." Her words broke something open inside me. Tears I'd been holding back for months spilled over. "I don't want to hurt you," I choked out. "Oh, Melanie," she whispered, pulling me into her arms. "You could never hurt me more than losing you without ever having you would." We stayed like that for what felt like hours, holding each other as I cried. When I finally pulled back, Evelyn's shirt was soaked, but she was smiling. "Feel better?" she asked, brushing a stray tear from my cheek. I nodded, suddenly exhausted. "Stay with me?" The words slipped out before I could stop them. Evelyn hesitated. "I shouldn't, if anyone found out." "Please," I said softly. "Just until I fall asleep." She bit her lip, then nodded. "Okay, but just for a little while." As she settled in beside me, I felt a peace I hadn't known in months. Her arm draped over my waist, her breath warm on my neck. For the first time since my diagnosis, I felt truly alive. "Evelyn?" I murmured, already half asleep. "Thank you. For being brave enough for both of us." She pressed a soft kiss to my shoulder. "Always." I drifted off to the steady rhythm of her heartbeat, dreaming of a future I knew I'd never see. But for now, in this moment, it was enough. When I woke the next morning, Evelyn was gone. But a note on my pillow made me smile. "Melanie, last night wasn't a dream, and I meant every word. Yours, if you'll have me. Evelyn." I clutched the note to my chest, torn between elation and terror. What the hell were we doing? This could only end in heartbreak. And yet, as if summoned by my thoughts, Evelyn appeared in the doorway, all professional demeanor and crisp white coat. But her eyes, when they met mine, were soft with something that looked a lot like love. "Good morning, Miss Carter," she said, her tone formal but a smile playing at her lips. "How are we feeling today?" I couldn't help but grin. "Oh, you know, ready to take on the world." And in that moment, I realized it was true. Whatever time I had left, I was going to live it fully. With Evelyn by my side, I could face anything, even death itself. As she checked my vitals, her fingers lingering just a moment too long on my wrist, I made a decision. I was all in. Consequences be damned. Life was too short for anything else. "Hey, Dr. Torres?" I said as she turned to leave. She paused at the door, eyebrow raised in question. "The answer's yes. I'll have you." The smile that lit up her face was brighter than the sun, and as she left, a spring in her step, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time: hope. The next few weeks were a blur of stolen moments and secret smiles. Evelyn and I danced around each other, our connection growing stronger with each passing day. But we were careful, oh so careful, not to cross any lines that couldn't be uncrossed. At least, not within the sterile walls of the hospital. Then came the night that changed everything. I was dozing when a gentle shake woke me. Evelyn stood there, eyes sparkling with mischief. "Get dressed," she whispered. "I have a surprise for you." "If it's another round of chemo, I'm filing a complaint," I grumbled, but I was already reaching for my clothes. She led me through the quiet corridors, past sleeping patients and tired nurses. We took the elevator to the roof, and as the doors opened, I gasped. The entire rooftop had been transformed. Fairy lights twinkled overhead, creating a canopy of stars. A plush blanket was spread out, surrounded by pillows and what looked suspiciously like a picnic basket. "Evelyn," I breathed. "What is all this?" She smiled, a hint of nervousness in her eyes. "I thought we could do some stargazing. The real kind, not just the glow-in-the-dark stars on your hospital ceiling." As we settled onto the blanket, Evelyn pointed out constellations, her voice soft and full of wonder. But I found myself watching her instead of the sky, mesmerized by the way the lights danced in her eyes. "You're not even looking," she chided gently. "I'm looking at something far more beautiful," I replied, surprising myself with my boldness. Evelyn blushed, the color creeping up her neck in a way that made me want to trace it with my fingers. "Melanie, Shh," I said, placing a finger on her lips. "No heavy talks tonight, okay? Let's just be—" She nodded, and I replaced my finger with my lips. The kiss was soft, unhurried. We had all the time in the world up here, away from beeping machines and grim prognoses. As things heated up, Evelyn pulled back, her breath coming in short gasps. "Are you sure? Here?" I laughed, the sound foreign to my own ears. "Why, Dr. Torres, are you propositioning me on hospital property? How scandalous." She grinned, a wicked glint in her eye. "Well, Miss Carter, I believe in being thorough with my examinations." After, as we lay tangled together under the blanket, reality started to creep back in. "Evelyn," I said softly, "we need to talk about this." She propped herself up on an elbow, her face serious. "I know what you're going to say, that this is a bad idea, that you're dying and I'm your doctor and we shouldn't complicate things." I nodded, throat tight. "But, Melanie, here's the thing. I'm already in love with you." The words hit me like a physical blow. "What?" She smiled, a sad, beautiful thing. "I'm in love with you, and I know it's crazy and probably stupid, but I don't care. Whatever time we have, I want to spend it loving you. Fully, completely, without reservations." Tears pricked at my eyes. "Evelyn, I can't ask you to watch me die." "You're not asking. I'm choosing. I'd rather have a moment of something real with you than a lifetime of what-ifs." I pulled her close, burying my face in her neck. "I love you too," I whispered. "God help me, but I do." We stayed like that for a long time, holding each other as the city slept below us. When we finally made our way back to my room, the sun was peeking over the horizon. Evelyn helped me into bed, pressing a soft kiss to my forehead. "Get some rest. I'll see you in a few hours." As she turned to leave, I caught her hand. "Evelyn?" "Thank you, for making me feel alive again." Her smile was like the dawn breaking. "Always." After she left, I lay awake, my body humming with lingering pleasure and my heart full to bursting. For the first time in months, I felt hope. Not for a cure, I wasn't that naive, but hope for something beautiful in the time I had left. I knew there would be challenges ahead. Ethical dilemmas, raised eyebrows, the inevitable pain of goodbye. But in that moment, watching the sunrise paint the sky in hues of pink and gold, I made a decision. I, Melanie Carter, terminal patient and cynical journalist, was going to live. Really live. With every ounce of strength I had left, I was going to love Evelyn Torres. And I was going to make damn sure she knew how much she was loved in return. As I drifted off to sleep, a smile on my face and Evelyn's scent still clinging to my skin, I felt something I hadn't experienced in a long time. Peace. Whatever came next, we'd face it together. And that was enough. It had to be. Love, as it turns out, is a powerful painkiller. But even the strongest medicine can't keep reality at bay forever. It started with whispers. Sidelong glances from nurses. Hushed conversations that stopped when Evelyn or I entered a room. At first, we ignored it. We were too wrapped up in our stolen moments. Gentle touches disguised as routine checkups. Lingering gazes across crowded rooms. Then came the day everything unraveled. I was dozing in my hospital bed when raised voices in the hallway jolted me awake. Evelyn's voice, usually so calm, was sharp with anger. "How dare you? My personal life is none of your business." A man's voice responded, cold and professional. "Dr. Torres, when your personal life involves a patient, it becomes the hospital's business. There are serious ethical concerns." I didn't hear the rest. My blood ran cold as the implications sank in. Someone knew, someone had told. The door burst open, and Evelyn stormed in, her face flushed with anger and something that looked a lot like fear. Behind her, a stern-looking man in a suit, the hospital administrator, I guessed, followed. "Miss Carter," he began, but Evelyn cut him off. "Don't you dare, she's not well enough for this." I sat up straighter, summoning every ounce of the tough-as-nails journalist I used to be. "I'm well enough to speak for myself, thank you. What seems to be the problem?" The administrator's eyes darted between Evelyn and me. "Miss Carter, we have reason to believe that Dr. Torres has compromised her professional relationship with you. If this is true, I'm afraid we'll have to reassign your care." The room spun. "Reassign my care? Take Evelyn away?" "Like hell you will," I growled. "Melanie, don't," Evelyn started, but I was on a roll. "Listen here, Mr. Whatever your name is. Dr. Torres is the best damn doctor in this hospital. She's the reason I'm still fighting. If you take her off my case, you might as well sign my death warrant right now." The man looked taken aback. "Miss Carter, I understand you're upset, but there are protocols." "Screw your protocols," I was shouting now, months of pent-up frustration pouring out. "I'm dying, do you understand that? I'm dying, and Evelyn, Dr. Torres, is the only thing keeping me alive. Not just physically, but..." I trailed off, tears threatening to spill over. Evelyn moved to my side, taking my hand. To hell with hiding, I thought, and squeezed back. "Sir," Evelyn said, her voice steady, "I understand your concerns, but I assure you, my feelings for Melanie have only made me a better doctor. I'm more invested in her care, more attentive to her needs. If that's a crime, then I'm guilty. But I won't apologize for it." The administrator looked between us, his expression unreadable. Finally, he sighed. "This is highly irregular. There will need to be an ethics review, and Dr. Torres, you'll be under close supervision. But, for now, we'll maintain the current care arrangement." As he left, Evelyn collapsed into the chair beside my bed. "Well," she said with a weak laugh, "that could have gone better." I tugged her hand, pulling her close. "Hey, we'll figure this out, okay? Together." She nodded, but I could see the worry in her eyes. "Melanie, if this affects your treatment..." "Stop," I said firmly. "You heard the man. You're still my doctor, and more importantly, you're still mine. The rest is just noise." Evelyn smiled, some of the tension leaving her shoulders. "When did you become the optimist in this relationship?" I grinned. "Must be your influence. You're rubbing off on me, Dr. Torres." Her eyes darkened. "Is that so? Maybe I should rub off on you some more." But before things could heat up, my phone buzzed. It was my editor. "Melanie," his gruff voice boomed through the speaker. "Where's that op-ed I asked for? The one about your journey or whatever?" I rolled my eyes. "Still working on it, boss. Kinda busy staying alive over here." "Well, hurry it up. People eat this inspirational crap up. Could be your biggest piece yet." As I hung up, an idea started to form. "Hey, Evelyn, what would you say to going public? Like, really public?" She raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" I grinned, feeling more alive than I had in months. I mean, let's tell our story, all of it. The good, the bad, the ethical gray areas. Let's show the world what love looks like in the face of death. Evelyn's eyes widened. Melanie, are you sure? Once it's out there. I'm sure, I said firmly. I'm tired of hiding. Let's make some noise. And so, we did. Over the next few days, between treatments and stolen kisses, I poured our story onto the page. The fear, the hope, the love that defied all reason. I wrote about the ethical dilemmas, the raised eyebrows, the whispered judgments. But mostly, I wrote about Evelyn. Her kindness, her strength, the way she made me feel invincible even as my body betrayed me. When it was done, I sent it to my editor with shaking hands. This is it, I told Evelyn. No turning back now. She kissed me softly. No regrets? I shook my head. Not a single one. Little did we know, the storm was just beginning. As my op-ed hit the press, shockwaves rippled through the hospital and beyond. Some called it a beautiful love story. Others cried ethical foul. But as the debate raged on, Evelyn and I held fast to each other. Because in the end, that's all that mattered. Us, together, facing whatever came next. Let them talk, I thought. We had more important things to do. Like living. Like loving. Like making every damn second count. The aftermath of my op-ed was like a tsunami. One moment, Evelyn and I were in our little bubble of love and stolen moments. The next, we were drowning in a sea of public opinion. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Talk shows, news outlets, even Oprah's people, everyone wanted a piece of our story. The hospital was besieged by reporters, camping out in the parking lot like vultures waiting for scraps. Jesus, I muttered, peeking through the blinds at the circus below. You'd think we'd cured cancer instead of just falling in love. Evelyn snorted, wrapping her arms around me from behind. Well, to be fair, that would probably get less attention than a doctor-patient lesbian love affair. I leaned back into her embrace, savoring the warmth of her body against mine. These moments were becoming rarer as my condition worsened, and I cherished each one. Any regrets? I asked, half joking, half serious. She spun me around, her green eyes blazing with intensity. Never, you. I answered her with a kiss, pouring every ounce of love and gratitude I had into it. When we finally broke apart, both breathless, I grinned. Does that answer your question? But our moment of peace was shattered by a commotion in the hallway. Evelyn's ex, Sarah, burst into the room, her face twisted with rage. You bitch, she spat at Evelyn. Do you have any idea what you've done? Evelyn stepped in front of me protectively. Sarah, you shouldn't be here. Oh, I shouldn't be here. Sarah laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. But it's okay for you to air our dirty laundry to the whole world? To paint me as the villain in your little love story? I felt a pang of guilt. In my op-ed, I'd mentioned Evelyn's past with the anti-feminist group, including her relationship with Sarah. I hadn't used names, but it wasn't hard to connect the dots. Sarah, I'm sorry, I started, but she cut me off. Save it. I don't want to hear from the dying girl who stole my girlfriend. The words hit like a physical blow. Evelyn tensed, her voice low and dangerous. That's enough. Get out. But Sarah wasn't done. She pulled out her phone, waving it like a weapon. You think your story's inspiring? Wait until people hear the whole truth. About how you used me, manipulated me, how you're nothing but a liar and a cheat. Before either of us could react, she stormed out, leaving a wake of tension behind her. Evelyn slumped against the wall, her face pale. Shit. I reached for her hand, ignoring the twinge of pain the movement caused. Hey, it'll be okay, we'll figure this out. She looked at me, her eyes filled with a mix of love and anguish. Melanie, I'm so sorry, I never meant for any of this to touch you. I cupped her face in my hands, forcing her to meet my gaze. Listen to me, we're in this together, remember? Whatever comes, we face it as a team. She nodded, pressing a soft kiss to my palm. What did I do to deserve you? Must have been something terrible in a past life, I quipped, earning a weak laugh. But as the days wore on, the pressure mounted. Sarah made good on her threat, giving interviews that painted Evelyn as a manipulative liar. The hospital board called for another ethics review, and through it all, my body continued its slow, steady betrayal. One particularly rough night, as I lay curled up in pain, Evelyn broke down. I can't do this, she sobbed, clutching my hand. I can't watch you suffer. I can't fix this. I pulled her close, ignoring the protest of my aching muscles. You don't have to fix it, love. Just be here. That's enough. She looked at me, her eyes red-rimmed but filled with determination. I'm not going anywhere, I promise. And she didn't. Through the long nights and longer days, through the pain and the fear and the uncertainty, Evelyn was my rock. She held me when the pain was too much, made me laugh when I wanted to cry, and loved me fiercely through it all. As my strength waned, we found new ways to connect. Sometimes it was as simple as lying in bed together, her fingers tracing patterns on my skin as she told me about her day. Other times, when I felt up to it, we'd sneak up to our rooftop haven, making love under the stars with a desperation born of knowing our time was limited. It was during one of these stolen moments that I had an idea. Let's get married, I blurted out, still breathless from our lovemaking. Evelyn propped herself up on an elbow, her eyebrows raised. What? I grinned, feeling reckless and alive. You heard me. Marry me, Evelyn Torres, right here, right now. She laughed, a sound of pure joy that made my heart swell. You're insane. We can't just... Why not? I challenged. We love each other. We're already facing the in sickness and in health part. Why wait? Evelyn's smile softened, her eyes shining with unshed tears. Melanie Carter, you are the most infuriating, beautiful, amazing woman I've ever met. Of course I'll marry you. And so, under a canopy of stars, with the city lights twinkling below us, we exchanged vows. There were no witnesses except the night sky, no rings except the invisible bonds of love that tied us together. I turned to face her, tracing the curve of her cheek. Hey, none of that. We have right now, and that's enough. She nodded, pulling me closer. You're right, it's enough. As I drifted off to sleep in my wife's arms, I felt a peace I hadn't known in months. Whatever came next, Sarah's revenge, the hospital's judgment, the inevitable progression of my disease, we'd face it together. Because in the end, that's all that mattered. Us, together until the very last moment. And beyond. The end, when it came, was both sudden and achingly slow. Like the last grains of sand in an hourglass, my time slipped away, each moment precious and fleeting. I'd always imagined death would be scary, but with Evelyn by my side, it was almost peaceful. She never left me, not even for a moment. Her hand was my anchor, her voice my compass in the growing darkness. Tell me about our future, I whispered one night, my voice barely audible over the hum of machines. Evelyn smiled, her eyes shining with unshed tears. Well, first, we're getting out of this damn hospital. We'll buy a little house by the sea, with a porch swing and a garden full of wildflowers. I closed my eyes, letting her words paint a picture in my mind. Go on. We'll adopt a dog, one of those big goofy ones that thinks it's a lap dog, and maybe a kid or two. We'll raise them to be fierce and kind, just like their mama. A tear slipped down my cheek. They'll have your eyes. And your sass. Evelyn chuckled, her voice thick with emotion. We spent hours like that, weaving a tapestry of dreams we both knew would never come true. But in those moments, they felt real. Tangible. A life unlived, but no less beautiful for it. As my strength waned, I had one last request. I want to write something. For you. For. After. Evelyn nodded, understanding without needing explanation. She brought me pen and paper, supporting me as I scrawled out my final words. When I finished, she sealed the letters without reading them, respecting my privacy even now. Promise me you'll read them, I said. When it's time. She kissed my forehead, a gesture so tender it nearly broke me. I promise. The last day was a blur of pain and morphine-induced haze. But through it all, Evelyn's face was clear. Her love, a beacon in the encroaching darkness. I'm scared, I admitted in a rare moment of lucidity. Evelyn climbed into the bed beside me, cradling me against her chest. I've got you. I'm right here. As my breath grew shallow, she began to sing softly, an old lullaby her mother used to sing to her. The melody wrapped around me like a warm blanket, soothing my fears. With my last ounce of strength, I turned to face her. Thank you, I whispered, for loving me, for everything. Evelyn's tears fell freely now, mingling with my own. I love you, Melanie. Always. I smiled, feeling a sense of peace wash over me. See you in our dreams, my love. And then, with Evelyn's arms around me and her love surrounding me, I let go. Evelyn's POV. The world didn't stop when Melanie died. The sun still rose, people still went about their lives, and somehow, impossibly, I kept breathing. The first few days were a blur of grief and paperwork. It wasn't until a week after the funeral that I remembered the letters. With shaking hands, I opened the first one. My dearest Evelyn, if you're reading this, I'm gone. But please, don't let that be the end of our story. You gave me a lifetime of love in the short time we had together. Now it's your turn to live. Travel the world. Write that book you've always talked about. Fall in love again, but not with anyone cooler than me, okay? And when you're ready, there's one last thing I need you to do. The letter went on to detail Melanie's final request. As I read, I felt a spark of the old fire she'd always ignited in me. Months passed. I traveled, I wrote, I grieved. And finally, when I felt strong enough, I fulfilled Melanie's last wish. I stood at a podium, facing a sea of eager young faces, medical students, full of hope and ambition. I'm here to talk to you about ethics, I began. About love and loss and the lines we draw in the sand. But mostly, I'm here to tell you a story. A story about a woman named Melanie Carter, who taught me that sometimes, the most ethical thing you can do is to love fiercely and without reservation. As I spoke, I could almost feel Melanie beside me, her presence as real as it had ever been, and for the first time since her death, I smiled without pain. Later, as I walked along the beach near our dream house, the one I'd finally bought in her memory, I pulled out the last of Melanie's letters. My love, I hope by now you've started to heal. I hope you've laughed again, loved again, lived again. But most of all, I hope you know how much you were loved, how much you are loved, even now. Our story wasn't long, but it was epic. Shakespearean, even minus all the pointless deaths and weird subplots. You were my great love, Evelyn Torres. My wife, my doctor, my hero. So here's my final prescription, Dr. Torres, live. Not just for me, but for yourself. Be happy, be fierce, be the amazing woman I fell in love with. And on the days when it's hard, when you miss me so much it hurts to breathe, remember this, I'm waiting for you. In that house by the sea, with our goofy dog and our sassy kids, in our dreams. Always yours. Melanie. As I folded the letter, a breeze picked up, carrying the scent of wildflowers. I closed my eyes, feeling closer to Melanie than I had in months. I love you, I whispered to the wind. And somewhere, in a place beyond pain and loss, I knew she heard me. Our story wasn't over. It was just beginning a new chapter.